This conference will now be recorded.
Renal cell carcinoma. These tumors occur most often in older individuals, that is in the 6th and 7th decades. And male to female ratio is 2:1. Males are more commonly affected than females. What is the epidemiology? What are the causes? Tobacco smoking, okay, and obesity, hypertension, unopposed estrogen therapy, and exposure to asbestos, petroleum products, and heavy metals. These are all the factors, etiological factors which cause renal cell carcinoma. Apart from these, the kidney diseases like end-stage renal disease, chronic kidney disease, acquired cystic disease, and tuberous sclerosis have an increased risk for development of renal cell carcinoma. Okay. Among tobacco smoking, cigarette smokers have double the incidence of renal cell carcinoma, whereas pipe and cigar smokers are also more susceptible. Okay. Additional risk factors are obesity, particularly in women. Obesity is a etiological factor. Hypertension, unopposed estrogen therapy, exposure to asbestos, petroleum products, and heavy metals. These are all the factors causing renal cell carcinoma. And most renal cell carcinomas are sporadic, but unusual forms of autosomal dominant familial cancers occur. These autosomal dominant familial cancers will occur in younger individuals. Okay, these familial cancers account only for 4% of renal cancers, and they cause renal carcinogenesis. What are these? We'll study. Von Hippel-Lindau syndrome, VHL syndrome. After 2/3 of individuals with von Hippel-Lindau develop renal cysts which are bilateral, often multiple, and along with this they develop renal cell carcinomas. Okay, this is von Hippel-Lindau syndrome. Renal cysts which are bilateral and multiple, and renal cell carcinomas. Current studies implicate that VHL gene is implicated in the development of both familial and sporadic clear cell carcinomas. Clear cell carcinoma is a variant of renal cell carcinoma. Hereditary leiomyomatosis and renal cell cancer syndrome. This is the second familial syndrome. First is VHL syndrome, next hereditary leiomyomatosis and renal cell cancer syndrome. This is also an autosomal dominant disease which is caused by mutations of the FH gene, that is fumarate hydratase gene, and is characterized by cutaneous and uterine leiomyomata, that is multiple fibroids, leiomyomas. Multiple fibroids are leiomyomata, and an aggressive type of papillary carcinoma. Okay, this syndrome is associated with papillary type of renal cell carcinoma with increased propensity for metastatic spread. And next is hereditary papillary carcinoma. This is also an autosomal dominant form which is manifested by multiple bilateral tumors with papillary histology. These tumors show a series of cytogenetic abnormalities, and the most common is mutations in the MET proto-oncogene, MET proto-oncogene. That is hereditary papillary carcinoma. And one more syndrome, Birt-Hogg-Dube syndrome. This is also an autosomal dominant inheritance, and due to mutations involving the BHD gene which expresses folliculin. So the syndrome consists of constellation of skin, pulmonary, and renal tumors with a wide range of histological subtypes. Skin lesions are fibrofolliculomas, trichodiscomas, and acrocordons, and pulmonary lesions are cysts or blephs, and renal cell tumors. And the classification of renal cell carcinoma is based on correlative cytogenetic, genetic, and histologic studies of both familial and sporadic tumors. The major types are clear cell carcinoma. Clear cell carcinoma, this is the most common type, accounting for 70 to 80% of renal cell cancers. These tumors are made up of cells with clear or granular cytoplasm and are non-papillary. These cells have clear or granular cytoplasm, and they can be familial, but in most cases are sporadic. In 98% of these tumors, whether familial, sporadic, or associated with VHL syndrome, there is loss of sequences on the short term of chromosome 3. So chromosome 3 gene mutations will lead to clear cell carcinoma. The deleted region harbors the VHL gene. A second non-deleted allele of the VHL gene shows somatic mutations or hypermethylation induced inactivation in up to 80% of clear cell carcinomas. VHL gene may be due to loss of chromosome 3 or hypermethylation induced inactivation. And the VHL gene acts as a tumor suppressor gene in both sporadic and familial cancers. So if this gene loss will lead to cell proliferation. The VHL gene encodes a protein that is part of a ubiquitin ligase complex involved in targeting other proteins for degradation. So important among the targets of VHL protein is transcription factor, hypoxia inducible factor. Okay, hypoxia inducible factor is an important target for VHL protein. So what happens if VHL gene is lost? Hypoxia inducible factor is remains high. If VHL is inactive, HIF1 levels remain high even under normoxic conditions, causing inappropriate expression of a number of genes that are turned on by HIF. So these induced genes these promote angiogenesis such as vascular endothelial growth factor and genes that stimulate cell growth such as insulin-like growth factors 1. This angiogenesis, vasculogenesis, growth factors will lead to cell proliferation resulting tumor development. In addition, hypoxia inducible factor collaborates in a complex ways with the oncogenic factor MYC to reprogram cellular metabolism in a way that favors growth. Deep sequencing of real cell genomes have revealed frequent mutations in a number of genes that regulate histone modifications, indicating that the dysregulation of the epigenome has also an important role in clear cell carcinoma. In the development of clear cell carcinoma, dysregulation of the epigenome is also important. So next, coming to papillary carcinoma. So papillary carcinoma, most common is clear cell carcinoma. Papillary carcinoma accounts for only 10 to 15% of renal cancers, and it is characterized by a papillary growth pattern and also occurs in both familial and sporadic forms. These tumors are not associated with VP deletions. There in clear cell carcinoma, loss of 3p chromosome will lead to development of clear cell carcinoma. This is not related to this deletion, and the most common cytogenetic abnormalities are here trisomy 7, trisomy 17, and loss of Y in male patients in the sporadic form, and trisomy 7 in the familial form are most important. Here, the most common cytogenetic abnormalities are trisomies 7 and 17 and loss of Y chromosome. The gene on chromosome 7 for the familial form has been mapped to MET, a proto-oncogene that encodes the tyrosine kinase receptor for hepatocyte growth factor. So, what happens here? MET gene is mutated, which is a proto-oncogene. So, what happens? MET is also mutated in sporadic papillary carcinomas. Unlike clear cell carcinomas, papillary carcinomas are frequently multifocal in origin. So, clear cell carcinoma is unifocal. Normally, it is unifocal, whereas papillary carcinomas are multifocal. So, this is a sporadic papillary and hereditary papillary. Sporadic papillary, which is a single unifocal. It is due to trisomy 7, 17, loss of Y, and mutated activated MET proto-oncogene. Whereas hereditary papillary carcinoma is due to trisomy 7, mutated and activated MET. The sporadic clear cell carcinoma is usually clear cell carcinomas are unifocal. In sporadic, it is the most common unifocal lesion. Deletions on chromosome 3, loss of VHL, or inactivated or mutated VHL, or hypermethylation of VHL. These are the causes of clear cell carcinoma. Next variant is chromophobe carcinoma. This is also less common. It accounts for 5% of renal cell cancers and is composed of cells with prominent cell membranes and pale eosinophilic cytoplasm. These cell membranes are very prominent and they contain eosinophilic cytoplasm, usually with a halo around the nucleus. That is, a perinuclear halo is more prominent in chromophobe carcinoma. On cytogenetic examination, these tumors show multiple chromosome losses and extreme hypodiploidy. Okay, there will be, what are the genetic abnormalities are multiple chromosome losses and extreme hypodiploidy in chromophobe carcinoma. Like the benign oncocytoma, they are thought to grow from intercalated cells of the collecting ducts. The chromophobe carcinoma grows from intercalated cells of the collecting ducts and have an excellent prognosis compared with that of clear cell and papillary carcinomas. Okay. Next one is XP11 translocation carcinoma. This XP11 translocation carcinoma is a genetically distinct subtype of renal cell carcinoma. It often occurs in young patients and is defined by translocation of the TFE3 gene located at XP11-2. So here there will be translocation of TFE3 gene. And overexpression of the TFE3 transcription factor will result in this carcinoma. The neoplastic cells consists of clear cytoplasm with a papillary architecture. Okay, clear cytoplasm but with a papillary architecture. Next is collecting duct carcinoma. Collecting duct, Bellini duct carcinoma represents approximately 1% or less of renal epithelial neoplasms. They arise from collecting duct cells in the medulla. Okay, this is the rare variant of renal cell carcinoma, that is Bellini duct carcinoma. They arise from collecting ducts in the medulla. Several chromosome losses and deletions have been described, but a distinct pattern has not been identified in this carcinoma. Histologically, these tumors are characterized by malignant cells forming glands enmeshed within a prominent fibrotic stroma, typically in a medullary location. This collecting duct carcinoma will be located in mostly medullary part of the kidney. They have a prominent fibrotic stroma. And medullary carcinoma is a morphologically similar neoplasm that is in patients with sickle cell trait. In sickle cell trait patients, this medullary carcinoma is most common. Morphology: renal cell carcinomas may arise in any portion of the kidney, but more commonly affects the poles. Okay, the poles are most commonly affected. Clear cell carcinomas most likely arise from proximal tubular epithelium and usually occur as a solitary unilateral lesions. Solitary and unilateral lesions are clear cell carcinomas, and they arise from proximal tubular epithelium. They are bright yellow-gray white spherical masses of variable size that distort the renal outline. The yellow color is a consequence of the prominent lipid accumulations in tumor cells. So why is this yellow color seen? These are prominent lipid accumulations in the tumor cells. These are commonly large areas of gray-white necrosis and foci of hemorrhagic discoloration. So variegated appearance is seen in renal cell carcinoma. The margins are usually sharply defined and confined within the renal capsule. So this is a renal cell carcinoma. Typically, cross-section shows yellowish spherical neoplasm. This is a spherical neoplasm involving the upper pole, and here we can see a dilated thrombosed renal vein. So we have this specimen, renal cell carcinoma, which shows cut section of the kidney with thinned out renal cortex. Renal cortex is thinned out and expands a large tumor of 10 into 6 centimeters present at the. This is the kidney, and this is the lower pole of the kidney present at the. An expansile large tumor of 10 into 6 centimeters is present at lower pole of the kidney, and tumor shows variegated appearance. What is variegated appearance? The tumor is gray-white and foci of necrosis, cystic degeneration, okay, all hemorrhagic areas. All these areas are seen in renal cell carcinoma. So tumor shows variegated appearance with grayish yellow hemorrhagic areas and small cystic areas with hemorrhage. Okay, so the diagnosis is renal cell carcinoma, and we'll see the histological patterns of clear cell carcinoma. In clear cell carcinoma, the growth pattern varies from solid to trabecular or cord-like or tubular, resembling tubules. The tumor cells have a rounded or polygonal shape and abundant clear of granular cytoplasm which contains glycogen and lipids. The tumors have delicate branching vasculature and may show cystic as well as solid areas. Most tumors are well differentiated, but some show nuclear atypia with bizarre nuclei and giant cells. As tumors enlarge, they may bulge into the calyces and pelvis and eventually fungate through the walls of the collecting duct system to extend into the ureter. One of the striking characteristics of renal cell carcinoma is tendency to invade the renal vein. It may grow as a solid column of cells that extends up to the inferior vena cava, sometimes as far as the right side of the heart. Okay, so invasion of the renal vein is very important, and it is the striking characteristic of RCC, and it may follow through the inferior vena cava up to the right side of heart also. Okay, this is a histological picture of clear cell carcinoma, the tubular arrangement with cells having clear cytoplasm. Okay, clear cytoplasm, and this is the nucleus with prominent nucleoli, and these cells are arranged in tubules or cords. Okay. Next, coming to papillary carcinoma. Papillary carcinomas are thought to arise from distal convoluted tubules. whereas clear cell carcinomas, proximal convoluted tubules. Okay, it can be multifocal and bilateral. Okay, this differentiates clear cell carcinoma and papillary carcinoma. Clear cell carcinoma unifocal and unilateral, papillary carcinoma multifocal and multilateral, and these arise from distal convoluted tubules. They are typically hemorrhagic and cystic, especially when large. The tumor is composed of cuboidal or low columnar cells arranged in papillary formations. Interstitial foam cells are common in the papillary pores. Some bodies may be present. The stroma is usually scanty but highly vascularized. See, this is the papillary arrangement of tumor cells. Okay, these are columnar cells with basally located nuclei. These are the columnar cells. Okay, chromophobe renal cell carcinoma is made up of pale eosinophilic cells, often with a perinuclear halo arranged in solid sheets with a concentration of the largest cells around blood vessels. Okay, these have perinuclear halo and clear cytoplasmic. They have clear cytoplasmic margins. And collecting duct carcinoma is a rare variant showing irregular channels lined by highly atypical epithelium with a hobnail pattern. Is seen in collecting duct carcinoma. Sarcomatoid changes arise infrequently in all types of renal cell carcinoma and are a decidingly ominous feature. Okay, this is chromophobe type. The cells have distinct cell margins. Okay, each cell is specifically placed with eosinophilic cytoplasm. Okay. Clinical features. The classic clinical features of renal cell carcinoma are costovertebral pain, palpable mass, and hematuria. This is a triad: pain, palpable mass, and hematuria. But all these three are seen only in 10% of cases. The most reliable clue is hematuria, but is usually intermittent and may be microscopic. Thus, the tumor may remain silent until it attains a large size, often greater than 10 cm. At this time, it is often associated with generalized constitutional symptoms such as fever, malaise, weakness, and weight loss. This pattern of asymptomatic growth occurs in many patients, so the tumor may have reached a diameter more than 10 cm when it is discovered. Currently, an increasing number of tumors are being discovered in the asymptomatic state by incidental radiological studies such as CT or MRI, which are performed for other indications. Renal cell carcinoma is considered one of the greatest mimics in medicine because it tends to produce a diversity of systemic symptoms not related to the kidney. So there are a number of constitutional symptoms like fever and abnormal hormonal production, including polycythemia, hypercalcemia, hypertension, hepatic dysfunction, feminization or masculinization, Cushing's syndrome, eosinophilia, leukocyte reactions, and amyloidosis. These are all the paraneoplastic syndromes. These are most commonly caused by renal cell carcinoma. A particular troublesome feature of renal cell carcinoma is tendency to metastasize widely before giving rise to any local symptoms or signs. So, at the time of clinical presentation or at the time of diagnosing renal cell carcinoma, it has already been metastasized. In 25% of new cases with renal cell carcinoma, there is radiological evidence of metastasis at the time of presentation. Okay, the most common locations are lungs. More than 50% are metastases to lungs, and bones 33%, followed in frequency by regional lymph nodes, liver, adrenal, and brain. The average 5-year survival rate of persons with RCC is about 70% and as high as 95% in the absence of distant metastasis. Okay, with renal vein invasion or extension into the perinephric fat, the figure is reduced to approximately 60%. That is 5-year survival rate. If renal vein is invaded, it is reduced to 60%. Radical nephrectomy has been the treatment of choice, but partial nephrectomy to preserve renal function is recommended for small tumors, that is T1A tumors less than size 4 centimeters, as well as larger tumors when technically feasible. Drugs that inhibit vascular endothelial growth factor and various tyrosine kinases are used as an adjuvant to therapy in patients with metastatic disease. Okay, this ends renal cell carcinoma. Okay, and this is the gross specimen we have. A tumor, large tumor of size measuring, present at the lower pole of the kidney, and thinned out renal cortex with thinned out renal cortex. Okay, variegated appearance. Please remember this entity: variegated appearance of renal cell carcinoma with grayish white areas, hemorrhagic areas, cystic areas. Okay, this is the diagnosis of renal cell carcinoma. Okay, thank you.